This is the Infatuasian Podcast, a show where we get together to talk with Asian creators that we love. This is Curtis, and on today's show, we'll be talking with baker, social media rock star, and now cookbook author, Kat Lieu from Subtle Asian Baking. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the pod. Today, we're going to have fun because we're talking about two of my favorite things. We're talking about cooking and eating. Well, more specifically, baking with a subtle Asian twist. And as usual, I need to bring along reinforcements, so I asked my friend Caroline to come co-host with me today. Hey, Caroline.
Hey there.
Caroline and I go back pretty far back.
Don't say it like that.
I don't know, man. It's like 3 decades now.
So that makes us 30?
Yeah, we met when we were born. Yeah, we met as we were born. No, we actually met in college, so folks out there can do the math. And so, yeah, so we go back to college, and actually Caroline was one of my grooms persons.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And
that was fun.
that was a good day. That was a good day for me. Memorable day for me, for sure.
Yes, I brought food. I brought food for the boys.
Did.
I brought
So, yeah, at my wedding, Kat, Caroline brought some char siu bao for me so backstage, we had some nourishment before we went on. And Caroline's a baker.
Woohoo!
Do you bake much anymore? I haven't seen you lately.
I haven't posted much lately. A little more busy with my day job. But yeah, COVID was good. COVID times were good for baking.
We should say that Caroline is also a teacher down in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a phase where Caroline would be super into working out and posting pictures of herself like dripping in sweat. And then like 10 minutes later, she'd be posting herself baking stuff. You were like in this hardcore rotation of baking and working out. That was
At that point, it was like, I had to keep up with the eating the sweets and the exercise. Now the exercise has dropped off. Who cares?
So it's just baking.
Eating is good. Eating is good.
And Caroline is sort of a celebrity as well. She was on Cupcake Wars.
Oh, I was.
What year was that?
2013. 2013. We were in the last season of Cupcake Wars.
With your cousin, Natasha.
Yes, I was her sidekick. I was her helper.
Sous chef. And you won.
We did. That was so unexpected. It was such a strange experience, but it was a lot of fun.
I remember seeing clips of that. Can you find that anywhere now? You can't find that anywhere online.
I think you can still buy it off of Amazon. I don't know why you would buy it off of Amazon, but you could buy the episode off of Amazon. You can get little snippets on YouTube.
All right. So everybody look that up. Cupcake Wars 2013.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for coming along, Caroline.
Absolutely. Good to be here.
And all the way from Seattle, we have Kat Lieu. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
You've been busy. I've seen you all over the place. You've been on TV, you're on YouTube, you're on podcasts, you're doing everything.
I'm just trying to slide into everyone's DMs and get my name out there,
You gotta, I respect the hustle. And if you don't know Kat's name, Kat is a real social media presence now. She is the founder of Subtle Asian Baking, a Facebook group, which has over 143,000 members now. And her Instagram I think is well done to a fault. I mean, because you look at your Instagram and you want to eat something, you want to cook something. So the Instagram is really... definitely a lot of eye candy there for you to look at some baking goods. And now, well, actually you were an author already, but you're a cookbook author as well with the new book,
Yes.
Modern Asian Baking, coming out in June?
June 28th.
June 28th. Available for pre-order now. So what's the best place to find that book? On Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, if you just Google Modern Asian Baking at Home, you could find it anywhere. I'd love for people to support their local bookstores. If the bookstore doesn't have it, they can ask the bookstore to order them, or Amazon, or you can go to modernasianbaking.com/pre-order. We have all of the pre-order information there.
And if you pre-order, you get a little bonus. You get some bonus recipes ahead of the time, right?
Yep, you get 9, and I'm gonna add a few more in.
Ah.
Nice.
So welcome, and yeah, we just mentioned a little bit that you were just when did the Tamara Hall come out? Did it just came out today?
Yeah, the episode came out today, and we shot it on Tuesday, and that's why we had to cancel this podcast episode, and you had to reschedule for this Friday night.
No worries, no worries. So that was how was that? Was that fun being on that show?
It was amazing, I have to tell you. It was really, really amazing. It wasn't something I've ever expected. I've never been on a show before like that. I've been on a local network show here, New Day. And then that was also through Zoom at home. So for the Tamron Hall show, it was through Skype, but I was able to sit down and see all the behind the scenes. So that was really cool. And all the cute faces that Tamron makes. She glitters. She's made for TV, you know?
Yeah. You got to respect that. You know, like we do this thing in my basement and we're not live, you know, we're not really video either. We're on Zoom. But yeah, to be on, you know, and to just bring it every day, that's some effort. But yeah, that's cool. And she was highlighting not just your baking, but also some of the social stuff that you've been doing to spread some word and awareness for our community. So thanks for doing that for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't get to fly to New York though. They were gonna fly you out, yeah.
Yes. And my husband was freaking out because then I'd be flying out and then he'd be left with the kid and my mom and the dog. Who would cook for them?
Yeah.
And then I'd be in New York City.
Yeah.
So it was half a relief, but I also did want it to fly into because I wanted that experience inside the studio, but it would have been a lot of work for a 5-minute, 6-minute segment. So in the long run, technology prevailed and it was better to not fly in this time.
Sure. But yeah, that's kind of cool to see your face on the screen like that, right?
Yep.
Does your kid go, "What are you doing on the screen, Mama?"
No, because he was at school.
Oh.
So it aired here on 11 a.m. and he was in class. So then I showed him a clip of it when he came home and he his eyes lit up and he looked at me and said, "Mom, you're so cool."
That is very cool.
So
and
sweet.
He's 8 years old.
Oh, love it. Love the little guys.
That is cool. But I know that feeling. My wife had to go to a conference when our kids were little, and it was a rough couple days. But you know, it builds character. All right, let's get to know you a little bit, Kat. So should we call you Dr. Lieu?
Just call me Kat. Just call me Kat. It's fine.
But you are a physical therapist. You're not working as a physical therapist anymore, are you?
Not right now. So when you guys were talking about being teachers, I was actually in the school district as a school physical therapist. That was my last job as a physical therapist. I am by trade a doctor of physical therapy, certified lymphedema therapist, and I've done a lot of stuff in healthcare and physical therapy. But right now, I think my path is going to diverge a little bit from healthcare and going to more of an authorship, the social media, and the activism.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that is cool. And you grew up in New York, I hear?
Yeah. So my dad drove us down from Montreal when I was about 2 years old, I think. And then he didn't have GPS. He didn't have MapQuest, none of that. He looked at a map. So went from Montreal into Brooklyn, right? And that's where I was raised for 30 plus years. But I don't think I would return back to New York as a resident, right? I'll always want to be there as a tourist moving forward.
Yeah, it's hard living there. I mean, my sister was there for 13 or so years, and I'd visit her, and just everything seemed a little harder, you know?
Yeah.
I think you have to be a certain personality to live in that city.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You have to be tough. You have to be vigilant and tough. And especially now with the hate, you can't even put on headphones. You got to know your surroundings. You know, you have to know self-defense. You have to carry pepper spray. So I'm grieving deep in my heart for my New York City sisters and older adults right now.
Right. Yeah. That's so sad to have to just be always looking around, you know, everywhere. That's got to be hard.
Living in fear is not really living. So let's flash back to your 13-year-old self for a second. We'll talk more about the activism at the end there. But so as a 13-year-old growing up in South Brooklyn, did you say to yourself, you know what I want to be is a social media influencer. Was that your career goals, or what were you like as a kid? Did you bake a lot? Did you dream of being an author? What were some of the things that you thought about?
I think Curtis and Caroline, I dreamed of being an author for the longest. And
Hmm.
I always, like you said, a jack of all trades. I
Mhm.
do a lot of creative things. Like I cook a lot also. I didn't actually bake a lot because our oven was always filled with pots and pans. It's
True
clean.
Asian.
True Asian. Yeah.
Yeah.
13-year-old me just got the internet. So it was AOL,
That's
dial
true.
up. Yeah, we didn't have social media back then. So I'm actually glad that I didn't grow up in a social media kind of age. The
Yeah.
other thing I really wanted to do was make video games because I'm an avid video gamer myself. So I actually did put myself through graduate school making video games online using Flash
Really?
coding. So Flash is dead now, but back
Yeah.
then I made, yeah, now it's a dead language. But I made dating simulations for girls. So
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. That's so cute.
yeah. Yeah, it makes like story, and then I drew it with a mouse, and it went viral back then. It had like millions of views and plays, and you could attach an ad to a game, and I was able to make some money and things like that. I had always been creative. Physical therapy was something to honor my parents, what my dad and my mom wanted me to do. They wanted me to be a doctor like my uncle, who's a neurosurgeon, or my older sister, who's a dentist.
Mhm.
But I'm afraid of blood. So
Yeah.
the only thing you can do is occupational therapy or physical
Yes.
therapist. And I chose
Yeah,
physical
yeah.
therapy, which is ironic because I don't like to exercise. So there's a lot of irony in my career choice.
Right. I think you and I will get along well together since I
Yes,
dropped the
yes, yes.
exercise part.
We'll just bake and not exercise.
Yes, that's the way to
Yeah.
go. That's the way
All
to
right.
go.
Hey, that makes three of us. All right. So you're growing up and you want to please your parents, so you're going to the science route and going physical therapy and you do that. We just talked about that a second ago. You're in the school district doing some PT. And then so where are we? You're in your career, you're working, and then pandemic hits. Is this what happened? This is the timeline?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the whole world starts baking. It's 2020. There was a flour shortage. Good luck getting yeast. March 2020, there was a yeast run. And
Red
you looked on
flour.
the internet and you were like, I don't see any Asian baking online. Or how did this thought process go?
Yeah, so Curtis and Caroline, when you Googled in 2020 Asian baking, you'll see sites that are not by Asians, and you don't see a lot of things that are by Asian bakers. Milk bread, the first recipe that pops up, might not have been written by a Japanese person and Japanese bakers created milk bread, right, in Hokkaido. And then Tanjan was by a Taiwanese baker,
Right.
Nowadays, if you Google Asian baking, a lot of the stuff comes from us, right? Modern Asian baking at home. You see subtle Asian baking. When you think baking, you don't really think Asian baking. You think French baking, right? American, British, Italian. You don't think Asian baking.
Absolutely.
So-
Well, and Asian baking, I feel like, I'm sure you have this idea too. Like you think of Asian baking and you're like, what do they don't bake. Like they don't like that's, like what kind of Asian, like, you don't even know what kind of like foods they would bake. Like you don't think of that.
Yeah. And then you don't know that we actually have a lot of cakes. We do a lot of cookies. We do a lot of bread, a lot of baked goodies. And then we also use the steamer, the frying pan, the microwave. We do a lot of things that you might not think it's an Asian cuisine, but it actually is. Right. So, and then a fusion, you could do macarons with matcha, lemon, yuzu, use an Asian ingredient or a flavor or an inspiration. And so, yeah, I couldn't find a network. And I guess that's how things start is when you see a need or a niche and then you want to build it and you're searching for it. And that's how subtle Asian baking began, right? It came from my gluttonous heart. I was so hungry for these foods. I wanted to make them at home. I was stuck at home. I was baking banana bread and macarons. And now I said I wanted to do egg tarts and milk bread and mochi and mooncakes. And that's how it all started.
Very cool.
And I think for that, the name Subtle Asian Baking, if you go on Facebook and you just type in Subtle Asian, it came out of the group called Subtle Asian Traits, right? And I don't know the year. I think I joined it like in 2019, right before the pandemic, I think. And it was just kind of a funny meme site, right? And people would post up stuff like, oh, that face when you, or, something that triggers a feeling or a thought that you didn't realize other people shared. And so it's kind of a real coming together place. And that group has millions of people, I think.
Yeah.
And so that name got taken by a lot of different people. Some of it not so applicable, right? Subtle Asian dating or subtle Asian real estate or something like that. But I think for your group, it really fits because like what you just said, that, what makes something baking and what makes it Asian, it may just be one ingredient, or it may be a technique, like you said, like the steamer to make the char siu bao, or a fryer, or it's not all baking, but it's just kind of what we did as Asians to kind of fill that baked good need. How has this journey been for you as the moderator of this website with 140,000 people on it?
So our global reach is over 300,000, because then we also have our TikTok that's growing, and then we also have the Instagram. So I think we're around 330,000 now. The growth has been very exponential. Mm-hmm. But the moderation, I have volunteers who help me moderate the group on Facebook. So I'm so glad for them and so appreciative of them, because I don't pay them a penny. They do this out of the happiness of their heart, that they want to help promote what is Asian baking. And I want to go back and say that subtle Asian baking is not just for Asian bakers. It's not just for people who are East Asian, South Asian, Southeast Asian. It's for anyone who wants to learn this art, this culinary innovation, this type of baking, right? Asian baking the Asian way. If you want to appreciate our culture, you want to learn, and what is pandan, what is ube, what is matcha, it's welcoming, it's diverse, it's inclusive, right? So a lot of people say, oh, it's just a group for Asian bakers. It's not. It's really not. I think the toughest part for me right now is also being the social media manager of the Instagram and the TikTok, because I have to like pump out content. People don't understand that I actually, from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep, I'm thinking about content, putting out more content and what to feature. The biggest part of my job right now as an author, as a cookbook author, is marketing the book. And that's why I've been sliding into everyone's DMs, right? Because I can't afford a publicist. I'm working full-time from home now. This is all a creative job, and I could do this on my own, account. I'm my own girl boss. So, as hard as I'm working, I'm also very happy because I get to do what I love doing now, being creative, affecting other people, helping other people too. I'm pretty happy with all of this right now.
That's awesome to be able to get that creative arm going, that you've always had at a young age. Did you find that like when the pandemic hit and you kind of had this time and that shift happened, did you find yourself having any difficulty or, even some guilt of like leaving that PT side of yourself and branching out and having that risk? Like, what was that decision process like for you? That it must have been hard in some ways.
Caroline, I think I've always been a flighty PT ever since I graduated in 2008. I got my degree. I think I've had 10 different positions as a physical therapist. I've done school physical therapy, outpatient, in the hospitals. I've done everything. I've started a lymphedema clinic in Brooklyn. And then I realized that maybe it's because my strength lied somewhere else. It was somewhere else. I didn't want to be tied down to a 9-to-5. I always found myself building things is what made me the most happy. Building, creating, starting something from scratch. And I think that's why I always started something. I had a gaming company called Nami's Productions back then when I was making those Flash games. Then I moved to Phil and Mama, my mommy blog when I had Phil. Uh-huh. And then now modernasianbaking.com, the website, and then also Subtle Asian Baking, the whole social media thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. You're just meant to be an entrepreneur, girl boss of your own.
Girl boss. I don't know about entrepreneurship. A lot of this is more of a passive kind of income because I'm not really selling a product other than the book. So I think it's more of a networking and people building connector kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think we jumped the gun a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about just how this thing blew up. So you start this group, and it's like just your friends and you, or who? How did you get this thing rolling at all to get started?
I don't know. I think it was okay. I was on Subtle Asian Traits, and that was in 2019. And my cousin introduced me to that group. And then I was on Subtle Asian Cooking, and I was doing a lot of content creating for Subtle Asian Cooking. And I got a lot of like viral hits with my entrees and the things that I was promoting on my own recipes. Then I got tired and I said, I don't want to keep pumping out content. I want to build something just like, Subtle Asian Traits and Subtle Asian Cooking. So then I just put in the information in Facebook and created Subtle Asian Baking. That was it. I invited all of my friends, who I knew loved to bake and cook. So my uncle Kimball, my close friends. Yeah. And then they invited their friends. And then I started inviting other people that I searched on the other groups. And it just went exponentially without like much effort on my own, especially in the beginning. And then people just heard about it. Like maybe someone's mom tells their daughter, and the daughter's, let's say someone in food media. And so she writes an article for Eater. So this is Jessica Wei, who wrote an article for Eater. And then that was December 2020. And then from there, once you get more media pieces, that's how, I got on the Tamron Hall show. That's how I got on New Day and then Eater Seattle. It just one thing leads to another. So it kind of feels like it's been fated. Or like, how do these like little pieces all fall in together so perfectly, right? So I think it's just meant to grow.
The right time, right content, right person. Yeah, that's cool. What sorts of things have you learned by doing it? The recipes start pouring in. What sorts of things have you learned cooking wise, or even techie wise, or what was the learning curve like for you?
Luckily, I've always been a techie. So I've always made websites. So I know HTML. I've learned that on my own. I used to code games, so I'm good at that point. Cooking is the part that I need to keep working on, right? So making my first cookies in 2020, learning from my friend Will, who moderates Subtle Asian Baking. He owns a bakery called Lieu Bakerman in New Zealand, right? Learning from him. He did a live on cookie baking. And then after that, I said, oh my gosh, it's so easy to bake a cookie from scratch. I need to keep doing it. So now I'm a cookie maker, right? I love making cookies. I asked people about macarons because macarons are so hard. And then I learned from Subtle Asian Baking, you could do it a Swiss method instead of the French method. So now it's so much easier. And then bread, should I use Tangjiang? Should I use Udane? So yeah, the learning curve, I think, has been more on the baking side and recipe writing and the cookbook writing side than maintaining all this other stuff. Because tech-wise, I've always done a little bit of that in the past already.
So, Kat, what's been the best part of this process, this 2-year journey for you so far?
I think meeting people like you guys.
Hey,
meeting the community of bakers. People are so supportive and so wonderful. And then just hearing people say like, thanks for being a voice. Thanks for being outspoken. Someone called me hero today. That was really sweet.
That is cool.
All of us lifting each other, and me having met Michelle Lee of the Very Asian Foundation. Just seeing that the support is amazing. There's so many podcasters who have invited me on, all the Asian podcasters, the Asian media and the journalists, the BIPOC media, just forming these connections, these networks, and then knowing like we're all part of this one fabric, right? Just meeting new people, I think, has been the best part of all of this.
Have there been any negatives? Anything that is not the best part about doing this?
When we got viral in January of this year, and then on TikTok, one video hit 5.8 million views, another one hit 3.3, and it's all just colorful milk bread, colorful cheesecakes. And then the flood of comments telling me not to talk about being an Asian female author, the racist things that have happened, the trolling, all of that took a toll from January to February. It's calmed down now because, people start hating on you, then you clap back and you call them out. They kind of stop.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can't win. And I kind of ignore it now. But then I was on live on Instagram just this week. And then I had a flood of trolling comments and people saying, barf, disgusting, your food's nasty, mold, And then I just kicked them out of the live. So I think that the cyberbullying aspect has been the worst. And also the Asian hate that's been happening. Those are things that have been the worst, I guess.
Yeah. And it's been a tough year, for us. Well, a couple of years for Asian Americans. And like we talked about earlier, just having these conversations with your parents or your grandparents and telling them to be careful and looking over your shoulder. And and you just feel helpless because it's not like we created the situation. It's not like we did anything to get into the situation, so you can't do anything to get out of it. So yeah, definitely a big part of what's going on. And the internet is just a great blessing. There's sometimes when it's just this amazing, amazing place, and sometimes it's just a wasteland of negativity. And so yeah, don't read the comments, Kat. just
There's too many. I have to ignore them now.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about your book a little bit. So you got recipes flying in at you from all over the world, and you're thinking to yourself, or were you thinking a book, or was it only after the editor came up to you that you started thinking about the book?
I've always wanted to write more books. I just never had the time. So I wrote a book during maternity leave. It was a young adult rom-com. And then I stopped after that because then, having a newborn is quite hard to write all the time. Diaper change, breastfeeding over and over again.
Yep.
Endless cycle.
Start again.
Start again, right? And then he's growing. And then once the editor reached out, then I felt this was a sign to do the cookbook. I was scared. I'll be very honest. I've never written a cookbook. I didn't know that, you do the proposal, you do the pitch, you do all these presentations, and then you write the book. And then you test the recipes, and then you have to do all this marketing. Like, would I do it again? I would, but it's very tough. So, it's been great, I think.
Yeah. And we should say that, you have a couple books. They are still available here and there.
Don't read them, please. It's so embarrassing. They're not edited. They're just self-published. I have a very fatal flaw is that I just need something done. And sometimes I'm not detail oriented. So I married the perfect man. He's very detail oriented. So, we complete each other. But for me, I just wrote the book. It was a first draft and I just self-published it without editing. So please don't read it. I don't know why it's still in circulation. It's so embarrassing.
But it's fun. But maybe you learn. Maybe you wouldn't be here today without, as a cookbook author without that experience too, though.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah. So we won't talk about those books, but we will talk. We will talk about modern Asian baking at home. How did you pick the recipes for this book?
I did a poll. So I did a lot of polls to see would you rather see melon pan or pineapple bun? Would you rather see egg tart or pole tart? So I picked everything that I love to eat and I would love to make, and then polled people what they would choose. And that's how the 68 recipes came about.
Yeah. 68 recipes. And we got to take a little peek at it ahead of time. So thanks for that. And it is gorgeous. And
thank you.
Super fun to look at. Even just reading the introduction just got me excited because it's from the heart, right? It's not like that's for Asians. I don't know if it's cliche to say, but cooking is our love language. Cooking is our culture. A lot of times people came to this country with a couple pieces of clothing, zero money, but they had recipes and they had memories, and that's kind of how our culture got passed on for a lot of people who came to this country. So you got 68 recipes, and you had to test them all. You had to try them all.
Yes, absolutely. So some of the recipes are actually from my own brain. So I made a corn and cheese ice cream with a butterfly pea flour syrup. So it was from an ice cream that I had in New York City that I remembered, and it has a Filipino inspiration. Since my husband is Filipino and my son's half Filipino, I wanted to make something as tribute to their culture, to their heritage, and things like that. It was tested by 23 recipe testers from around the world.
Oh, wow.
We had 700 plus people applied to be a recipe tester. I chose from the first of the list. And then, of course, I tested every recipe too. And then our food stylist and food photographer also made all of the recipes in the book that you see, those photos. And so she was my recipe tester as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's very cool. How do you make the ground rules of what is considered Asian or not Asian? Did you wrestle with that at all, or did you just kind of anything that there's techniques, of course, and there's ingredients. So what are some of the ground rules you had to qualify to be Asian baking or Asian food?
Yeah, a lot of it is if there's a story behind it. So someone who is from Asia who has a story like this was passed down from their mom who is Malaysian, then I could include that story, or it's a traditional dish, or it's using a an ingredient that is Asian, like matcha, that's from Japan, right? So that's how I picked it. The recipes don't have to be from Asian bakers. And also, I think the most important is the inspiration behind it too. So you need to write that head note for each recipe. So how did the recipe come about? Who is it from? Is it from my grandma, like my chiffon cake, right? That's Ama's chiffon cake. It's her recipe that she passed down to me, that she learned in Vietnam from French techniques, right? So that's how I picked that recipe. And then, like I said before, that ice cream, it gives a tribute to my husband and my son's culture and their heritage being Filipino, right? And then using like ube, the yam from the Philippines, using black sesame, making a black sesame soup that my mom made for me. That's a Cantonese dish, right? The black sesame soup.
As you were thinking about the inspiration of those recipes, did you also think about Asia's so big? So I guess how did you kind of at least come to a point where you could say, okay, I think I did this justice, or to my abilities at this point, or, I guess what was that deciding factor?
I feel one book will not do Asian baking justice. So I'm going to be very frank about that. And, even Russia is part of Asia, right? If you think about it. I try to include recipes from East Asia. And then also from Southeast Asia and from South Asia. So I'm trying to do the best I can with only 68 recipes to go by, and with my own, skill set too. Right. Absolutely. So I'm not going to say that I can't include like a lot of Indian desserts or recipes if I didn't ask an Indian friend, right? So I have a mango lassi in there that I consulted with my neighbor who's Indian. I also have their chai. It's Serge's chai, my friend Serge, who made this chai. It's his recipe, so I included that in there, right? I feel like I can't do justice to all of Asia. And if I could change it, I might say, modern East Asian baking at home. I'm sure there's going to be some backlash. There's going to be some backlash, but you have to understand this is a Western publisher. I'm doing the best that I can with my resources, my time frame. I was given 6 months to write the book, 68 recipes, test all of them. Right. Wow. There could be a modern Asian baking at home #2, hopefully. And then I could, right. And then I could include more of the inclusion. But I'm very frank in everything that I wrote in there, the cultures that I can represent with these recipes. And I'm hoping that people see that it's from the heart and it's not doing any harm. I want our food to be appreciated, not appropriated, So I'm hoping that the message comes across.
Well, just from talking to you, I just commend all your efforts of all the thoughts you put into, choosing the recipes. And, it really speaks volumes when I hear that, how much thought you put into it,
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. And I see a lot of cookbooks will tell you where their inspiration and their adaptations come from. I make sure that every recipe that's not completely mine has an attribution, so someone gets credit.
Fabulous. Yeah. That's awesome.
So Caroline, have you looked through the book at all? Have you noticed any recipes that caught your eye?
Well, the milk bread, of course. That was, I like to compare recipes a little bit with the milk breads because, I make a milk bread too, and I've used the Tongzhou method as well. And so, it's nice to see some of the methods that I've used before come into play. But I'm actually a little intimidated by Asian baking.
Oh, you won the Cupcake Wars. Come on. I could never be in a baking show, so you're being too humble.
Nah.
But I think there are probably different levels, yeah, Kat? Like the cheesecakes might be pretty easy or on the easier side, and then there's some that are 5 ingredients and there's some maybe 20 ingredients, yeah?
Yeah, not the Japanese cheesecake. That's probably a more of a mid to expert level, I think. So don't tackle that first if you're a beginning baker. But a lot of the other stuff are very easy, like the matcha bass cheesecake. You just blend all of the batter in and then you just bake it. That's really easy. The mochi mooncakes, the snowskin mooncakes might be a little tougher. And then the tongyun, the soup dumplings are a little bit tougher too.
Yeah. All right, I got a little challenge for both of you. We'll see if you guys come up with this. All right, so I'm gonna give you a scenario and see if you can come up with something to bake for this.
Okay, does it have to be Asian?
I'll let you slide, Caroline. You can do whatever you want. You can do.
Well, I mean, I want to do justice to this podcast too.
Yeah, that's true. You may not appear at all on this podcast. if you like,
the whole thing is like cut.
What happened to that person you introduced? All right, are you ready? Well, luckily, Caroline, you have a pro sitting up above you.
Right,
here, so,
right, yes.
So you're good. All right, so it is Saturday morning, and you've got a little time to bake. So let's say the kids got karate class or something on Saturday morning. Your partner takes them to karate class. It's also cheat day, so calories don't count. What are you going to make on your day off when you have a little bit of time? Maybe you got like 2 or 3 hours in the morning on a Saturday. What comes to mind if you had a couple hours free time on Saturday that you could bake that you're just going to enjoy? Either one of you.
Are we supposed to press the buzzer? Ding.
Yeah, no, it's not a contest.
You go first, Caroline.
Oh, no, not me. Okay, let's see. Okay, so if I had time,
you have all the ingredients at hand too.
All right, if I had time, I would make cinnamon roll. Cinnamon rolls or donuts.
Yum.
with a creme pâté. Yeah. Creme pâtisserie.
With a little matcha in it.
Yes, with a little matcha in it. There we go. If I were doing my little Asian baking in the morning, I actually would make these like pancakes that my grandfather used to make, my yaya. And they were just kind of crepe-like. And, no measurements, like you just use like the Chinese soup spoon, pouring stuff in. So they were kind of crepe-like and very amorphous. They never turned out in a circle, but they were like kind of eggy and very crepe-like. So I would have made those. I have no idea what they're called, but my grandfather used to make them. And we called them Chinese pancakes. I have no idea what they were.
Your grandpa was from Shanghai?
No, that was my yaya from Guangzhou, from Toisan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Kat? What would you do? You have a couple hours, you got all the ingredients, the house is empty and quiet, and you have some time to bake.
I think I'll do the Swiss roll cake.
Ooh. What ingredients, what flavors would you throw in there?
So I think a matcha Swiss roll cake with really fluffy matcha cream, and then probably put some boba on top of it, because Swiss roll cakes are a little harder to make, perfectly to put that cream ratio in there and rolling it up and then cutting into beautiful slices. So definitely that.
So what is your tip then for when you make a Swiss roll cake to keep it round?
So some people say that once it comes out of the oven, when it's still a little bit warm, you roll it up with the parchment paper that's still on it, or you change the parchment paper to a new one, or you could use like a lint-free towel and then you roll it up first, right? And then you let it rest like that for a little bit, and then you unroll it, and when it's all cooled down, that's when you put the cream on.
Okay.
But it has a little memory of that shape.
Yeah, like a memory foam. It's just proteins, right? It's all flour, just have proteins with like memory structure and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, next challenge. You did well. You both get 10 points for that one.
Thank you. We're being scored.
Well, there are no prizes, but yeah, we'll see. Okay.
Well, I'm not playing anymore.
Let's see. Would you rather do something fancy or something comforty?
Either is fine.
Let's do a quick one. All right.
Okay.
It's Thursday afternoon. You just got home from work. Had a tough week. Trying to make your Friday a little better. So you've got like an hour to whip something up. And then you got to do other stuff too. It's still Thursday. What could you whip up quickly to satisfy, not necessarily a baked good, but to satisfy some kind of craving you might have, or something that you need something to hit the spot, but you don't have a lot of time. Let's go Kat first this time.
Okay. You can make a very easy creme brulee, and it really hits the spot too, because the batter is very easy to mix. Then you just bake it in bain marie, and then the only thing that you need is a blowtorch. but it hits all the right spots because it's
Yeah.
creamy and it comes out crispy on the top, and it's just so delicious and comforting. And then you can make the creme brulee any flavors. I've made pandan, ube, black sesame, matcha creme brulees before. So I think with an hour, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then you can make yourself an egg white omelet the next day. All right, Caroline, what are you making up in an hour?
All right. So am I making a sweet or a savory?
Whatever would hit the spot for you.
Whatever will hit the spot. So okay, so it's a savory then.
Okay.
I'm just gonna wok fry some shrimp and then shred some cabbage and make some homemade flour tortillas.
Okay.
Oh, and then you have to have some of the spicy sriracha mayo. That's perfect on top.
To make it Asian.
No, it's not just to make it Asian. That's the way I eat it.
Okay. All right. You can make tortillas in an hour? You can make homemade tortillas in an hour?
Oh, yeah, easy.
Really? Okay.
Yes, you can too.
Okay. Just the masa, just masa and water and some fat?
No, it's the flour tortilla, not masa. That's corn.
Oh, okay. So like just all purpose?
Flour, butter, water. That's it. Flour. Yeah.
You know,
flour,
we used to
butter,
get
water.
we used to get these tortillas from Mexico when Viv has some relatives in Mexico, and they were so good, but they were so lardy.
Lard.
Like,
yes.
Lard.
Yes, the lard definitely makes it. But the tortillas with the flour. It was actually a TikTok that I watched that I got this recipe from a Mexican woman.
Very cool.
Flour,
Very cool.
flour, water, butter, and they kind of taste like the Chevy's tortillas.
Yeah. Like a little puffy,
Yes, a little bit puffy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Super good.
All right. Let's see. Would you rather do a bake sale one or a special occasion one?
Probably bake sale.
Let's do the bake sale. All right.
All right.
Let's say you have a potluck or a bake sale where 4 rival moms are going to be there. And you want to impress them. What item can you bring to drop the mic on them and say, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but say, hey, I'm here. I am here with my goods. What's a crowd pleaser that will sell out first at the bake sale and all the other moms will look at you and say, wow, that is delicious.
Well, Curtis, you didn't give us a score last time.
Oh, that's true.
No, those were both amazing. We will have tacos and then creme brulee for dessert. So I'll give you both 10 points for that one as well.
We made a meal.
Yeah.
Yum.
You guys are working together. This is good. All right. So bake sale or a potluck. You can call it a potluck if you want to do something savory. That's fine.
I think for a bake sale, we are doing a charity bake sale right now throughout the globe. So one of our members made meringue cookies, and they're like little candies, like crispy marshmallows. And she made them last year. She made them Pokemon. Very cute. So you know how much money she made from those? $4,000.
Wow.
And she donated it all to charity because they were so cute and so delicious. So this is Flowers and Stuff. Her name is Jenny Lieu, a Sob member. This year she did Kirby. So I would just steal her idea and make these cute jars of meringue. I can make them anything, like Pokemon again, or Kirby, or Winnie the Pooh. And then they'll be so cute and all the kids will love it. And then they'll sell out. So that'll be me. Meringue.
Awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if I can top that one.
You don't have to top it. We'll synergize this.
Okay.
Let's work with it.
Well, yeah, like, she's my rival mom. I'm going to be like,
no, you're on the same team. You're same team. No, you're.
I'm going to deflate.
Same team.
All right. So I bake often actually for my parents that volunteer in my classroom. Because it's cheaper than buying things.
True.
So I think I would either make gingerbread biscotti, because those are easy to package up. And who doesn't love a fresh biscotti instead of getting the Costco half stale? You think that's supposed to taste like a biscotti, but a biscotti does not taste like that.
Yeah.
So fresh gingerbread biscotti or my cinnamon roll cupcakes.
Yum. Yes.
Cinnamon roll food. And it has coffee icing, and then it has the cream cheese icing on top.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. I can't decide between the two. We're gonna go 10 points for each of you again. Amazing.
Such a pacifist.
Amazing. Yeah, I know. That's how I've lived a long life, Kat. I live with 3 women, or 1 woman and 2 daughters. So
we outnumber him.
He knows.
keep the peace. Gotta keep the peace.
Our friendship goes years back, so
Yeah. Thank you for playing along. I hope that was a little bit fun for you guys as well.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We got 30 points. Yes.
Woo!
Yes. All right. And so if you are interested in some of the recipes that Kat talked about, there are a few online. Just go into modernasianbaking.com and you can find some online. But pre-order the book. Help her out.
Yay!
We need to help. I've heard you say that, as a Asian woman of color selling a book, there's not a whole lot of you out there. There's not a ton of you. And they don't necessarily believe that you can do this, right? And they want to see some pre-sales so that they can justify marketing this book a little harder.
Absolutely.
So everyone out there, I got to get mine. I admit I haven't gotten it yet, but I will get one soon. So everyone out there, go order a copy of this. But you have survived the hard questions, and now it's time for the lightning round.
Do you play a fun audio with us?
I don't. That's it. That's all. That's all you get. All right. All right. And now it's time. Cue the music. It is time for the lightning round.
All right. Number 1. What is your favorite subtle Asian ingredient?
Me?
Yeah, it's all you.
It's
There
your
ain't no one
lightning.
else here.
Your cat.
Right now, miso. Miso just balances all of the sweetness, and I could add it to butter, to like ube, to condensed milk, and it just elevates the food and gives it a pop of umami. So I will say miso.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you'll put that in sweet things as well?
Yeah, I have a few recipes that I just put into it's on my Instagram. So I made an ube roll where I used ube halaya jam, and then I mixed it with butter and the miso, and it was so good. I could eat spoonfuls of that, but I put it into the cinnamon bun roll thing.
Yeah. No, miso is cool. All right, good answer for that one. Number 2. All right, other than an oven, what piece of kitchen equipment could you not live without?
Right now, definitely my stove. I do a lot of cooking. I actually do more cooking than baking. So I would have to say my stove, the frying pan, the pots.
Yeah.
All of
No,
that.
how about one gadget? You have a gadget that is kind of specialized that you use a lot?
I guess the spatula. I was talking to someone else about that too. It's so versatile. You could use it to make bread dough and cookie batter, and then you could use it to smack someone.
Yeah. Get out of my kitchen. Yeah. All right. I would thought you might say a scale. I think for baking, a scale is really
That's
handy.
true. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. No, you went old school. Not everyone can afford it or has a scale, but I really like it for baking.
It's like $35.
Yeah,
So
it's not
if
too
you
bad.
like some less lattes, you could get one.
Definitely worth it if you do any kind of bread baking or cakes. Yeah.
Right. Number 3, is there a food item that you would much rather buy than cook yourself?
Everyday dinner. I just don't like to clean up. And then
I don't mind the cooking.
Yeah, I could cook all day, but
Yes.
to have to do the cleaning messes me up. And then everyone has a different palate. Like my mom can't eat spicy. My husband can eat anything. Then my son gets picky. So then I have to think about everyone.
Yes.
So just dinner, if I could just Uber Eats or DoorDash, everything, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Totally relate to that. Yeah. And then when you have teens, you have to clean your kitchen before you cook because they've messed up the kitchen before you even got in there. Yeah.
No, we were all home last year. We were all home for cooking 3 meals a day. And it was just a disaster every single day. And then you spend another hour and a half, 2 hours just cleaning it. And then it starts all over the next day.
Constant cleaning.
People.
Yeah.
I was going to get everyone one plate, one fork, one spoon
like camping.
with their name on it. Yeah, it's like you don't eat unless you clean up your one plate, man.
You know what they're doing on TikTok too? They put the foil, the plastic wrap on top of the plate. So then once you're done eating, they just throw out the wrap. And then you don't have to clean anything.
All right, Kat. So the Infatuasian podcast would like to get you a ticket to anywhere in the world, plane ticket. What destination in the world would you go for one meal? You get an airplane ticket and one meal, and then you come home.
Oh my gosh.
What destination and what meal would you go to?
Probably a really good omakase or sushi dinner in Japan. Maybe in one of their best restaurants. We used to go every year to Japan. My son, ever since he was 5, I think. And we haven't gone back because of COVID. So I really miss Japan.
You got pretty good seafood in Seattle, though, but not quite the same.
No, actually, it is. You're right. It's comparable. So you're right. Wow.
But that would be pretty cool to do it in Japan.
Yeah, just to see the cherry blossoms again.
Yeah.
And they're cute little foods and the toys, all the toys I have in the back.
All right, that's a good answer. Yeah.
All right. Have any celebrities or notables dropped you a note letting you know they've tried your recipes?
Well, only the people who have endorsed our book so far. So all the ones who have endorsed our book. So Brian Ford of New World Sourdough, Korean Vegan, Joanne. Who else? Jason of Xi'an Foods.
Okay. How did you feel when they were kind of asked to do it, but how did you feel when you got those?
Very ecstatic and happy. And, and then I realized that anybody can be down to earth and support someone. The bamboo ceiling and the glass ceilings are so hard and tough and high. And just having people who are already there, up there, lift me and pull me up a little bit, even if it's just a tiny little step. So grateful and so happy and eternally appreciative of them.
Yeah. Awesome. Have you been stopped on the street? Are you Kat from Subtle Asian Baking?
No, because it's been COVID time, so we all have masks on.
That's true.
Right. I haven't been on a lot of media. Maybe now with the Tamron Hall show, maybe more people would recognize me, but I usually put a lot of the food first and not my face first. So whenever I started talking about myself, then I got some backlash because now she's a vocal Asian woman. Right. So I don't put my son's face out there either for that reason. I don't want him to be recognized or things like that. So I don't really put a lot of myself out there, but I might start doing that a little bit more. I also use my platform to elevate other bakers with smaller platforms so that I'm able to reshare and repost their content. It's not always my content. So I feel it's more of a community effort.
Nice.
Why are you so cool, Kat? Why can't you be a little selfish? Say, I want to be the face of Subtle Asian Baking. No, you're very cool. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. And speaking of that, we are really impressed with what you've been doing in the Asian community. You've been raising thousands and thousands of dollars through different ways. One of them is called the Very Asian Bake Sale, right? And that's going on right now, yeah?
Yes, until the end of May 2022. So bakers from all around the world, you don't have to be Asian. You're welcome to host your own bake sales. They could be virtual, they could be in person, and then donate however much proceeds you want to our GoFundMe. It's called the Very Asian Fundraiser on GoFundMe. You could, of course, also donate to causes that resonate with you. It doesn't have to be Stop Asian Hate. It could be to help the people of Ukraine, right? So I've donated my money to all things that resonate with me. All in total, from 2020 to this year, we're going to be, it'll be a total of $30,000 that we've raised through bake sales and direct donations to various fundraisers.
That's great.
Yeah. That's the power of numbers too. We talked about 300 something thousand people. Have you ever gotten your head around that? When you get 5 million views on TikTok, you ever get your head around those numbers a little bit? But there's a lot of power in that, right?
There is, but you can only expect a small percentage. So if you have 300,000 followers and members, expect 5 to 10% who would engage, or maybe less than that. Of course, if each of the 300,000 people can donate just $1, we'd have $300,000 donated. But I'm not going to expect that from everyone.
What's the GoFundMe account again? Variation
Fundraiser. So it's on GoFundMe. You can find it on GoFundMe and then just search for hashtag Very Asian Fundraiser.
And it's partnered with Michelle Lee from
that's
St.
half
Louis.
of the proceeds. Yeah, it'll go to Michelle Lee's Very Asian Foundation, and half of them will go to Heart of Dinner in New York City.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to shout out. So I don't know if you know, but the guys over at Worst Asian Podcast and I, we talk quite a bit, and so Lingji and Ben out there, and they're doing a fundraiser of a different sort.
Oh yes, I have to talk about that. That's starting tomorrow.
Well, this podcast is coming out on Wednesday, so it'll be already going by the time this podcast comes out. It's going until April 3rd, I believe. So there's still time by the time you're hearing this.
Yes, we're gonna do a beefcake sale.
Yes,
a different type of bake sale. So if you're interested, you're single, you're 18, and you're ready to mingle with a 6'2" Asian Adonis, right? His name is Ben of the Worst Asian Pod. So if you're ready, you could be single or not single. You could bid on Ben, and then the person who bids the most money, all of that money will go to our fundraiser, of course, and hopefully we'll get a lot of big bids. You know, he's a good-looking guy. You know,
good-looking oppa.
Good-looking oppa. So girls, go and bid on him. It'll be on our Instagram, so it'll be tied with Worst Asian Pod's Instagram, and our Instagram will be a collaborator on this post. So you could bid by just commenting on the thread your own bid. So I think we're starting at $20 or $25, and then
I think he's starting at 50.
He's starting at 50.
Big ballers only.
Well, maybe they could just all pitch in, right? Like a group.
You could do a group. Well,
oh yeah, it could be a group date. I mean,
but he's only getting dinner for one person though. So.
Yeah, it's just
they can switch off.
Yeah. But even if you don't live in New York City, so Ben's in Flushing, but even if you're not in New York City, you can still bid because they'll do a virtual date.
Yeah.
Where Ben will pick up the tab for a DoorDash meal delivered to you, and you guys can chat over Zoom or whatever format.
But it has to be not X-rated, okay? It has to be publicized later on. So it's a very friendly date, okay?
Keep it clean, people. Keep it clean.
G-rated date.
Yeah.
We got to keep Ben safe.
Yeah. Even though he's 6'2", yeah,
we gotta keep my oppa safe.
I was asking Lingji, are you gonna chaperone this thing, or are you just gonna throw Ben out there? You don't know what could happen out there.
Yeah, we can't trust Lingji. Not someone you can trust.
But yeah, it's a fun time. Their podcast is super fun, and we chat out quite a bit. And he doesn't think it's gonna go very high, and I said I think you can get over 1,000. I think we can. He's
very pessimistic. I want to tell people that. You shouldn't be pessimistic, because I do a lot of manifestation, right? And then the power of the secret and things like that. You want to manifest things that will happen positively. So if you say it's not going to go big, then maybe it's not going to go big. So you have to think, oh yeah, Ben's going to get $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm calling it. I told him you're going to get over 1,000. There's some sugar mama out there.
Oh yeah.
Going to put down $1,000 for a nice candlelit dinner with Ben. But it includes dinner. I mean, dinner and conversation and a good cause. So everyone out there, go over to Subtle Asian Baking Instagram, which will be tied to the Worst Asian Podcast Instagram. And you just put a comment there with a dollar amount.
We're Subtle Asian .baking. We have to have the dot on the Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Subtle Asian .baking.
Got it. All right. Well, Kat, thanks so much for coming along. I really appreciate all the stuff you're doing for the community. And, just getting voices out there is great. Hearing your voice out there and see this thing blowing up, and just wish you the best of success going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your support and for having me on today, and, just being so nice. Oh. and no dad jokes. Thank God.
I know. I held back. I held back a little bit. I didn't want to ruin your day. But yeah, you've been a great you've been a great guest. So thank you for coming along. And Caroline, thank you for coming along. It's been a while since we've chatted, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very inspired by all of Kat's story. Her whole story is just amazing. I'm so inspired by you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so everyone out there, if you are listening to our voices right now, go out there, pre-order a copy of this book. Amazon is one place, maybe the easiest place, but yeah, go to your local bookstore, help them out. Ask them if they're going to carry it, ask them if they're going to order it, and let the publisher know that there is some excitement about this book and some energy, modern Asian baking at home. So I don't mess it up. Can you give us your socials one more time so we can all find you and find this book?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go on Instagram, we're subtleasian.baking. Same for TikTok, it's subtleasian.baking. On Facebook, you could find us on Subtle Asian Baking. It's a private group, so you do have to join it and answer a few questions. Just follow our rules so that you're not just going to spam our group. And then go on to modernasianbaking.com for all of our free recipes. And to pre-order our book, it's modernasianbaking.com/pre-order.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Make sure you support your Asian authors out there, and especially Kat. And so if you want to get a hold of us, you know how to get a hold of us. You can write us at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us also on Instagram or Facebook at The Infatuasian Podcast. I'll put all these details in the show notes, and if you would be so kind to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, that'll help us get our name out there. Yeah, 5 stars.
5.
All right, and so you can also follow us wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you so much for listening. On behalf of Kat and Caroline and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
You can't wave, Kat. This is audio.
Bye. Bye.
All right. I know that we're so used to just doing that. It's like, see you later, but it's
My
like
dog's been barking. My dog's
I didn't hear
barking,
it.
so I had to mute.
Oh, I didn't hear him. Oh man. All right. Thank
this
you,
was so
Kat.
much fun. Thank you.
Oh yeah. No, thanks you for coming along.
You have to show me your bread. Okay, I need to see how it works.
Yeah. I do bake actually. I do a little baking. I like yeast. I think yeast doughs are my favorite because I'm a biology teacher, so it's kind of like it's a living organism. There's something cool about it.
Yeah.
Did you do the sourdough starter?
No, I've failed at sourdough. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
really? No, you can totally do sourdough starter. You would love a sourdough starter if you're that whole biology chemistry.
I did one, because I'm in San Francisco, so I'd be able to get the official sourdough.
Yeah.
But it got moldy on me, so I didn't do something like
What happened?
Are you supposed to cover it or not cover it?
When you first start it?
I don't know.
I'm not a sourdough expert.
It's
so.
supposed to be like a moist. It's supposed to be like a moist covering.
But it has to be open to the air to get the spores.
Not completely open. No.
Oh,
You
really?
can put it. Yeah, that's probably why it molded. You're just
all right.
opening it to dust and everything.
Cat hair and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. You could if you put like a wet towel on top of it, you'll.
And my friend gave me some, but I don't like the taste of her bread for some reason.
Aw, it's her bacteria you don't like.
yeah. So I don't know.
Or
I do
it's
that
the
quick.
mixture of her bread flours.
I don't know. Anyway, but I do like pizza. I like making pizza. I like making focaccias and milk breads are yummy. So yeah, I'll send you pictures.
Are you gonna make a screenshot of this?
Yeah. Well, it's recording this whole thing. So you wanna do a pose or anything?
Yeah, choose a nice one, please.
Okay. Yeah. No, what I usually do is it's hard for all of us to look good at the same time. So what I do is I take a snap of it. There you go. Yeah, so it'll be good. No, I got you. But yeah, we'll post this up and I'll tag you so you guys can post it or repost it.
Because if you don't put a nice picture of a girl or a woman online, they're gonna hunt you down.
I know. Yeah. No,
All right,
I know
Curtis,
this.
you understand this?
I do know this. I know the rules.
I'm from Brooklyn. Okay.
Don't mess.
Don't mess
I know the rules. Don't worry.
I actually gotta go because I have guests in the house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well,
They
thanks
just
so much.
Came over.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Bye, Kat.
Talk
Nice
to you
meeting
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye, Caroline.
Bye. See you later.
See ya.